Bill O'Reilly here. Welcome to the No Spin News. Thursday, October 6, 2022. Stand up for your country, and you do that by voting, of course. So November 8th coming up pretty fast, right? And I promised you in the summer I wouldn't speculate about the midterm results, but now that we're getting close, I'm going to give you the best information that I have. Could change, but not so much that the country's going to shift. By that I mean that Joe Biden is doing a terrible job, and he's not going to stop doing a terrible job, and there isn't anything that will intervene that will mask that terrible job. So I would say that 70% of Americans understand what a bad job Mr. Biden is doing. The 30 don't really care. They don't have the intellectual heft to evaluate this kind of stuff. They're in a whole different zone. They still have to pay the higher prices, and they are in most jeopardy from losing a job, but you can't really make them pay attention. But 70%, I think, is a good number that they know that things are not going well, and that is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. So let's take the Real Clear Politics averages. I don't particularly like this website, but they are accumulating data that I use. And right now they have on the House side 219 seats going to Republicans, 182 to Democrats, and 34 undecided. If every undecided seat went to the Democrats, the Republicans would still win. And they won't. So it's going to be a rout, I think, in the House. Come back to me. It's going to be a rout. And Republicans will control the House. That's the end of Nancy Pelosi. She'll probably not run again. And that's good. And so the Democrats will be in disarray in the House of Representatives. Now, why is that important? Because the House of Representatives basically has a whole slew of committees. The January 6th committee that is torturing Donald Trump right now. So as soon as the Republicans in January come in and take over that House, Republicans are the chairpersons of the committees. And as soon as that happens, Hunter Biden, open border, attack on the American fuel industry, all of those things that are vexing this country will be the subject of investigations by the House of Representatives. Now, there will be Democrats on those committees, but the majority will be Republicans. So while the Democrats won't do anything about Hunter Biden's going to be boom, right in your face, just like January 6th is in our face now. So that, in addition to a Republican House not passing anything that Biden wants, handcuffs Biden for his last 2 years. He's not going to get anything passed. And even if he does executive orders, they'll be challenged in court the moment he does them to block him unilaterally ruining the country. You know, I'm doing a lot of radio promotion for Killing the Legend, you may know that, all over the country. And when I say this to the people who are interviewing me, look, even if you hate the Republicans, conservatives, Donald Trump, I don't care. What I do care about is one fact. 2 years ago, the United States had the most vibrant economy on earth. That is a fact. Energy independent 2 years ago. Now, our economy is a shambles. And we have to beg OPEC to harvest oil. If you don't grasp that, then you don't want to know the truth, as they said in A Few Good Men, Jack Nicholson. Anyway, so the House, to me, O'Reilly, today, fait accompli, Republican. Senate, 50-50 right now, and you know Kamala Harris, Vice President, tiebreaker. More problematic for the Republicans. So I want to run down the main races that are in dispute. So Pennsylvania, you got a guy named John Fetterman who is just lost. He had a stroke, far left guy. He just is lost. And he's being challenged by Mehmet Oz, a television guy, smart guy, but he's not even a resident of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I mean, he is now because he moved there to run, but he's a Jersey guy. Come back to me. So the latest average polling is Fetterman 48, Oz 44, which is pretty much a tie. Okay? The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is primarily a red state, except for Philadelphia, the biggest city. In Philadelphia, the Democratic machine controls everything. If the machine comes out for Fetterman, Fetterman will squeak by and win. If the machine does not, and we're talking primarily African American voters here, Fetterman will lose. Because the majority of Pennsylvanians do not want Fetterman. They'll vote for Oz or they won't vote for anybody. It's not that Oz is real popular. He isn't. Okay? But the Democratic machine in Philadelphia will be the decider. I say, African Americans are getting hurt worse than anybody else by this terrible economy, by this inflation. I can't see them running out in great numbers. And polling does not pick that up, but I could be wrong on that. Georgia. Now, this seat should be Republican snap, but I think that Walker's going to lose now, Herschel Walker. The personal stuff is just overwhelming the voters in Georgia. I mean, it's every day. You know what? I'm not going to go bother going over it again, but Walker has not effectively rebutted the attacks against him, which include his own son. Warnock is just a progressive leftist. He doesn't bring anything other than whatever the progressives want, I'll vote for that. That's not Georgia. That's not Georgia. Georgia is not a blue state. And Kemp will win re-election. He'll beat Abrams pretty handily. But right now, I got to say that Walker not winning. Not with all the baggage he has. And maybe in the next 4 weeks, he'll sue the people that are accusing him or something that might, give him a second look. But right now, if the election tomorrow, he loses. Arizona, Mark Kelly, fairly popular man, Democrat incumbent, against Blake Masters. I don't know much about Masters. He's a venture capitalist, but I don't know much about him. It's 49-45, Kelly leading, real clear average. I think Kelly will probably prevail because Arizona is not a red state any longer. There's been a lot of people moving to Arizona from other parts of the country. That's what happened in Colorado. Okay, and where it used to be a red state, Barry Goldwater country, John McCain country, not anymore. Now you would think that voters in Arizona would want that border sealed up, and the Democratic Party is not going to do that. You would think that just on that issue alone, they would vote Republican, but it looks to me like Kelly will hold that Senate seat. New Hampshire. Now, this is an interesting situation. So the incumbent is Maggie Hansen, a Democrat, a liberal. Again, just rubber stamps, whatever the progressives do. She's up against a guy named Don Bolduc, who is a military guy, very conservative. And he is a Trump guy. So it's 49-43 Hassan in New Hampshire right now. But I think Bolduc has a chance, not a good chance, maybe 30%. The problem with New Hampshire is a very small state. And downstate is Massachusetts. Its commuters living in New Hampshire because they don't have a state tax, going to Boston every day to work. And they're all liberal voters. And they overwhelm the rest of the state. So Hassan, you would have to say, is a favorite, but it's not a lock there. New Hampshireites have got to be crazy about this economy because most of those folks are working class folks. They don't have a lot of disposable income up there. Okay, Wisconsin. Looks like Ron Johnson, the incumbent Republican, will win this. It's closer than it should be. Johnson's been around forever, since 2010. A guy named Mandela Barnes run against him. I don't know anything about him. But I think Johnson will hold his seat there for the Republicans. Nevada, a very interesting state, just like Arizona. Nevada, a tremendous influx of people, mostly to the Las Vegas area where they work in the service industries, where they are in the unions. the unions always vote Democrat. So the rest of Nevada is red. You know, a little place outside Reno, but most of the state is red. But those unions in Vegas drive Democrat votes. But Laxalt is well known. He was a previous Attorney General of Nevada. He's run against Catherine Cortez Masto, Latina, and there's a lot of Latino votes in Nevada. But I think Laxalt will win that. So that'll be a pickup for the Republicans. Ohio, red state, love Trump. But J.D. Vance, the author, running on the Republican ticket, he's not really doing that well. And a former Congressman, Tim Ryan, Democrats run against him. Vance is, it's about tied. I'd have to say this is a tied race. But all the other races are going to go to the Republicans. That's going to help Vance. And Ohioans on the Republican side are more motivated to vote than Clevelanders and Columbus, where our Democratic precincts are. If I had to bet, I'd say Vance wins, but razor thin. North Carolina, there's another razor thin. So Ted Budd, he is a congressman from North Carolina, and he is endorsed by Trump, running against Sherry Beasley, a very liberal woman, former judge. Now, Budd is ahead, but you know, again, razor thin. But I expect North Carolina, because of economics, to vote for the Republican Budd. I'd be surprised if Budd lost there. And Colorado. You know, I love Colorado. I lived there for 2 years, as some of you know. Here we have a situation where the state has gone solid blue. Denver, Boulder, overwhelms every other part of Colorado. Now, when I lived in Denver, it was a traditional, I wouldn't say it was conservative, because out west it's more libertarian. But now it's crazy left. So a guy named Joe O'Dea is running against Michael Bennet, the Democrat incumbent. O'Dea looks like a pretty solid guy, but he's way behind. So Bush the Younger is going to raise some money for O'Dea. He needs some money. But I don't think he's going to get through. I think Bennett will probably be reelected there, and Colorado will stay a blue state. So if my prognostications come true, the Republicans will win by 1. Okay, 1. It'll be 51-49. And that's enough. That's enough. So then Biden has nothing. So the Senate, with the House overwhelmingly Republican, not going to really matter there a lot. Now, one place it will matter is I do expect the Republican House members to try to impeach Biden over the border. I don't think Biden will ever be convicted, but it'll be payback. And that trial would be held in the Senate. But remember, 2/3 of the Senate have to vote to convict, and that'll never happen. All right, so Biden, and that's the memo, right? That was all in the talking points memo. Do you care about your privacy? Giant tech companies and different alphabet agencies within the U.S. government are spying on our messages, abusing our privacy, monetizing our data. Frankly, you are probably not paying enough attention to what's going on, and neither am I. Secure, spelled S-E-K-U-R, has proprietary technology allowing you to send messages and emails encrypted and hosted in Switzerland. This means they are not subject to the Cloud Act. They're only subject to Swiss laws, which are some of the safest in the world. Secure is a company that actually cares about your freedom and privacy. That's why they built this platform and why they are sponsoring my program. Best of all, they are offering 15% off when you use promo code BILL. So please go to secure.com, that's SEKUR.com, use promo code BILL. For less than $10, you can get Secure today. So Biden's up here in New York and New Jersey raising money for the Senate candidates. because they need the money. So Biden comes up, big fundraisers, that money gets spread out to New Hampshire and Nevada and Arizona and Wisconsin, all over the place. And that's all Biden's been doing for the last 2 months. But here's the kicker. And we told you this yesterday. Not one Democratic candidate that we can find, not one, has asked for Biden to campaign for him or her. What does that tell you? They don't want him. Do they know? Everybody knows. Okay. More bad news today in the economy. Home mortgages, 6.75% for a 30-year. That's what? A double from this time last year? 2 years ago when Trump was in? Not a double. So you want to buy a house, pay a lot more money, and people are going to, so the housing market's going to stall. The housing market stalls, that's construction. You see what the domino effect is here. You don't have to go to Harvard economics to figure this out. And what's Biden say? You don't know. I don't know. I got a house. Okay. How about Oregon? There are two races that are really interesting on the local level. So Oregon, and I did live in Portland. You might ask, why did you live in so many places, O'Reilly? Well, I was moving on up in my television career. Now, you take the best positions. So Oregon, when I was there, was a liberal state, but not crazy left. And it wasn't violent at all. And murder rate in Portland's up 275%. So now a Republican is leading the polls to become the next governor of Oregon, Christine Drazan. She's running against Tina Kotek, who's a standard issue liberal. And I think Christine's going to win. So Oregon's going to have a Republican governor. How about that? But here's something even more shocking. This is shocking. Trafalgar poll. It has been accurate in the past. Two polls have been accurate, Rasmussen, Trafalgar. That's all I can tell you. New York governor. New York registration, Democrats 2-1 over Republicans. They take a poll. Who are you likely to vote for governor? Now, the methodology is 54% Democrat, 28% Republican, because there are twice as many registered Democrats as Republicans. So it's in line. All right? Ready for the results? Democrat Kathy Hochul, 45. Republican Lee Zeldin, 43. That is a tie. Zeldin could win because New York is so out of control. It's unspeakable. The crime, the taxes, the infrastructure breakdown. It's a tie. Now, I've been very clear on this. I don't endorse candidates, but I would never vote for Kathy Hochul. Ever. If Putin ran against Kathy Hochul, I'd stay home. That's how bad she has governed. But Zeldin could win this. It's really, really amazing. Attorney General Letitia James, right? She's the one that trumped up the charges against the Trump organization. No victim, nobody signing on her civil lawsuit. She's running behind Republican Michael Henry. It's close. If this happens, this will be an avalanche. In New York goes Republican, an avalanche. Now, we know California is gone and never coming back. And Illinois is probably gone forever too. But New York, these numbers are staggering. And what is likely to change in 4 weeks? Nothing. It's going to get worse. Going to have more atrocities, more murders. The taxes are insane here. Highest tax state in the union. 3 million people have left the state. 3 million. But anyway, this is incredible. Murder, USA, FBI data out this week. Okay, here it is. Let's start with overview. 2019, 14,548 homicides in America. 2021, last year, 14,677. Not much of an increase. Okay? But that does not tell the story. Victims, 2019, 7,777 African Americans were murdered. 55% of all homicide victims in the U.S. in 19, blacks. Last year, 58%. Okay? So the black homicide rate is rising significantly. Perpetrators, 2019, African Americans committed 6,809 homicides, 47% of the total. Black population is 13% in America. Okay? Last year, black perpetrators murdered 54% rate, 54, up from 47. So you could see the murder in the African community is way up. Why? Because of the drug gangs in the big cities. That's why. And who's getting killed? Blacks. So, you're asking African Americans to vote for progressive Democrats who have made all this carnage possible? I'm just staggered by it. Why would any black American vote Democrat? And here's an interesting stat. Crimes against senior citizens in America up 10% in 1 year. So they get mugged in the cities mostly. This murder rate is big city primarily. Okay, suburbs and rural, not so much. All right, but the cities are crazy violent. And let's go to guns then. So all the homicides, not all of them, but the majority of homicides are handguns. Everybody knows that. Massachusetts has a law where if you want to carry a gun, if you want to have a gun, not even carry it, if you want to buy a gun and have a license for the gun, you have to show proper cause. Proper cause, what is that? What does that mean? I'm afraid that somebody might hurt my family? No. And this is so the authorities of Massachusetts can deny your application. You don't have proper cause, so we're not going to give it to you. Supreme Court has said no. They struck that down and said you got to go back and reconsider your law. Same thing happened in New York State. You remember that. But there, the justices voted 6-3 to strike down a law that said people have to demonstrate proper cause, same phrase, to get a handgun. So clearly this court, Supreme Court, says the Second Amendment stands. And if a law-abiding citizen wants to buy a handgun and carry it, under certain provisions, you got to have that. Can't carry it into a church or a school. In Ohio you can, but they're allowed to. So these rulings are very, very interesting that's going on here. Bill O'Reilly here. Vidgo, V-I-D-G-O, is a new streaming service that gives you live sports and programming you want at a price you can afford. With Vidgo, I get live sports networks, including ESPN and Fox Sports, along with incredible access to college football games, with 80% of every televised college football game in the first 3 weeks of September. 80%. Vidgo also has a great choice of news and entertainment program, including The First, Fox News, Newsmax, and more. On my new weekly program called Shock and Awe, exclusively on Vidgo, I'll break down the most important issues of the week, asking bold and fresh questions and sitting down for exclusive interviews with America's top news makers. For a limited time, when you sign up for Vidgo, you can also get a copy of my new book, Killing the Legends, free, and get $15 off Vidgo's premium service. So please go to Vidgo, vidgo.com/BillBook. Sign up now. Okay, final thought of the day. We have some data in about Killing the Legends. Fascinating data. So we sold about 100,000 books in 1 week, which is, good. We've done that before, but the audience is different. So a lot of the political people that watch us haven't bought Killing the Legends yet. And we know that by the reviews that we see on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other places. And on Amazon, 87% of the reviews are excellent. Book is excellent. I think Killing Jesus had that or about that level, but that's like unheard of. And that caught me by surprise because I thought, I'm writing a different book here about cultural history. And people who like the standard history, killing Lincoln, killing England, killing Patton, killing the SS, they might not go over and like the cultural history, even though it's very important because we live it every day. It influences what we do every day, influences our children, our finances, everything is cultural history. So when I saw the 87%, I went, whoa. But if you read the reviews, it's people, a lot of them, this is the first Killing book. They haven't read the others. And because the cover has got the 3 icons on them, they were attracted to that. And it's a whole different genre. The hardcore history people, that's our base, political history, they haven't come in yet. Now, I hope they do, because you'll like the book. It connects a whole bunch of dots and tells you about the society in which we all live. And that's pretty vital information. Let me give you an example. So I'm doing an interview, and Jason Whitlock, you know Jason Whitlock? So smart guy, and I'm doing his show. And he doesn't know whether what Elvis, John Lennon did, those two, they both changed the culture, was ultimately a good thing. No, he said, well, it might be a bad thing because Elvis ushered in rock and roll rebellion, Lennon and the Beatles, sex, drugs, rock and roll. And that's in play now. Hasn't gone away. And I said, that's an interesting point of view. But dissent is a hallmark of our country. So we don't want a bland society. We want everybody thinking the same. And that's what we had in the 1950s. And no problems were getting solved in the 1950s. Civil rights problems weren't getting solved. The economy wasn't really perking the way it should. My parents just eked it out. Working class people didn't have a lot of advantages. And there wasn't a lot of dissent about it. It was like, okay, this is the way it is. And then once Elvis came in with rock and roll rebellion, then the dissent came. And then the Vietnam era, that's the Beatles, boom. And things got done. All right? Problems were solved. However, the dissent movement has been hijacked now by the far left, which wants to destroy American tradition, hates the country. Elvis didn't hate the country. Lennon moved here from England. And Ali was an Olympic gold medal winner. I don't believe he hated his country. But their dissent and what happened was hijacked by what we call the far left, and that's what happened. Anyway, we're very happy that people who have read Killing the Legends enjoy it. We hope you will sample, and we will have a column Sunday noon, and see you on Columbus Day. We will work on Monday. We'll see you then. Inflation at its highest level in 40 years. Interest rates skyrocketing. We all know that. Market experts like Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan, not only predict a recession, but are using scary terms like economic hurricane and unprecedented. So, you need to call the only precious metal dealer I trust, American Hartford Gold. They will show you how to protect your savings and retirement accounts by diversifying your portfolio with physical gold and silver. Please call them today, and they will have physical gold and silver delivered right to your door or put inside your IRA or 401k. They have thousands of satisfied customers, are the highest rated firm in the country with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Tell them Bill O'Reilly sent you, and they'll give you up to $2,500 of free silver on your first order. Please call 866-501-5201, 866-501-5201, or text BILL to 65532. Again, 866-501-5201 or text BILL to 65532.